Hi everyone, thanks for joining my webinar. We're just going to give it a few more minutes to let a few more attendees join. Hi everyone, and welcome to my webinar on how to use Facebook targeting to get more treats and fewer tricks this Halloween. My name is Ratika Majed, and I have over 5 years experience working in digital marketing. With a master's in marketing and being Meta certified, I have the knowledge and experience to share insights on effective targeting strategies on Facebook. Facebook is an important platform because globally, 2.95 billion users are active on the platform monthly, and that's nearly one third of the population, making it the largest app in the world. Specifically in the UK, 66% of the population is active on the platform, and the user base is just going to continue to grow with nearly 400 signups per minute. It's also good to keep in mind that in the UK, users spend around 42 minutes per day on the platform. UK's widespread internet access and Facebook's popularity make it a prime place to reach a large audience. Today, I'm going to show you how to effectively target your audience on Facebook. I'll be using a three-pillared approach. Firstly, we're going to look at the different types of targeting options Facebook has to offer, which will give us a better understanding of prospecting and retargeting audiences. Secondly, we're going to take what we've learned and put it into practice with different personas and using their goals, pain points, and interests to reach and engage with each persona based on their characteristics and preferences. And lastly, we're going to look at some common targeting mistakes to avoid, and we'll give you some tips to take away with you. Understanding audiences. We're going to be looking at cold, warm, core, lookalike, and retargeting audiences. Then we'll summarize this section with a few tips for you. So first, looking at cold audiences. These are your prospecting audiences. Here you can see I've listed out 3 different types of prospecting audiences. Let's start with ice cold. Your ice cold audience is users that have never encountered your business, and they lack awareness of its offerings and are less inclined to make purchases. Let's put this into practice. Say you're a local bakery. Your ice cold audience would be residents that have recently moved to your area where your business runs. A solution to target your ice cold audience could be an awareness campaign targeted in the local area, enticing people to visit the bakery. Let's go up a level and look at colder audiences. These users have some awareness of your business but lack comprehensive details and are currently not actively seeking its offerings. So they have some idea of what your business does. Now let's move up another one, and it's your cool audiences. So these users are familiar with the business and its offerings, but have not yet made a purchase. So say you're an e-commerce business, your cool audience would be users that have interacted with your Facebook page but have not yet purchased. A solution to target them would be a consideration campaign designed to encourage the audience to take a next step, such as filling in a form to get more information about your business. Now let's look at warm audiences. These are your retargeting audiences. Your basic warm audience has a history of making purchases from your business, even if those occurred years ago. Say you're that e-commerce business again, you can use a customer list to target these warm audiences. So using your customer data, find customers that have purchased a few years ago and retarget them with a re-engagement campaign, highlighting new products and promotions to remind them of your business. Because if they've bought from you once, they'll buy from you again. Now let's look at heating up. These users have demonstrated explicit interest in your business and its offerings, having made a purchase in the recent months. Say you're the e-commerce business again. Your audience for for heating up would be recent buyers and high intent buyers. So using that same customer data, you can find customers that have purchased in the recent months and retarget them with upsell and cross-sell campaigns, highlighting related or complementary products or services to encourage additional purchases. Then lastly is the red hot audiences. These users are well acquainted with your business and maintain a keen interest in any updates and are highly likely to make additional purchases of any new products or services you might introduce. So these users will be brand enthusiasts and repeat buyers. And then you can use that same customer data and find customers that frequently buy from you and are your loyal customers. And you can reward them with exclusive previews campaigns with early access to new products or services, creating a sense of exclusivity. Now let's move on to core audiences. This is the default audience type in Ads Manager where you can target by location, demographics, interests, behaviors, and connections. This data is pulled from the information shared in profiles and the behaviors exhibited on the platform. We will look into demographics and interests and behaviors in detail next. Demographic targeting. This is the audience based on information users supply to Facebook about themselves in their profiles. And the most basic demographic targeting is age, location, and gender. You can get more detailed and look at demographic targeting such as education level, relationship status, whether they're parents or not, and much more. Now let's move on to behavior and interest targeting. This is a core audience type. You can target behaviors and interests concurrently with demographics. Behavior targeting is based on users' online and offline activities outside of Facebook, taken from data partners, offline purchases, and device usage. The benefit of this would be that you can reach users that show certain purchasing or lifestyle behaviors that align with your business goals. Interest targeting is based from the user's behavior on the platform. So pages they like, content they engage with, and information they provided on their profile. And the benefit of using this is you can reach users who have shown an interest in certain topics related to your products or services. Now let's move on to lookalike audiences. A lookalike audience is a way your ads can reach new people who are likely to be interested in your business because they share similar characteristics to your existing customers. A lot of people get confused and think that a lookalike audience is a retargeting audience. However, it is a prospecting audience. These are new people, however, they have similar characteristics to your existing customers, but they are not your existing customers. So, how does this work? Facebook's system leverages information such as demographics, interests, and behaviors from the source audience to find new people who share similar qualities. My tip would be to choose a high quality source audience and focus on the best customers to generate the best results. You can also customize a lookalike audience based on percentage of population you want to target. 1% will include the top 1% of people in the location who are the most similar to your source audience. You can choose other percentages up to 10%. A 2% audience broadens it out slightly, while a 5 or 10% will increase your reach significantly, but then it will be less specific. A privacy challenge to keep in mind is that in the future, due to signal loss from third-party tracking pixels across Facebook, it will become increasingly challenging for Facebook to maintain the same level of specificity when creating these segments. Now let's move on to retargeting. Facebook retargeting uses ads to re-engage with previous website or app visitors, encouraging them to return to take a desired action, such as making a purchase. How does it work? Retargeting captures potential customers' attention through online actions like likes and purchase intent, which has been made achievable through the Metapixel integration. I wanted to touch base on what the Metapixel was. It's a piece of code that you can put on your website that lets you measure, optimize, and build audiences for your Facebook advertising campaigns based on people's interactions with your website. Facebook allows you to retarget people that originated on and off Facebook, which you can see from the image on this slide. Under your sources, you can see there's website and app activity, which is used by which uses the Metapixel for tracking. And then under meta sources, you can see there's video and lead form. So this could be people that have watched a video on your Instagram page or filled out a lead gen form from a previous campaign that you've ran. A privacy challenge to keep in mind for this is that the new iOS 14.5 update means Apple device users now have to actively give permission for Facebook and other companies to use their data. But you shouldn't worry about this too much because it's been reported in 2023 the market share of Android users is at 70%, while iOS users are at 29%. And currently, there's no changes to the Android's privacy policy, so we should still continue using retargeting campaigns, and it shouldn't really affect our results too much. Now I'm going to move on to some tips. So the first tip I have for you is save budget by excluding less likely converters. For instance, remove visitors to your career page. These people are interested in working for your business, not buying from you. So it'd be a waste of money if you kept them in your targeting. My second tip is use a variety of Facebook sources to create your custom audiences. This will help you reach a wider range of people who have interacted with your business on Facebook. So, for example, retarget people who visited your Facebook page, watched your videos on Instagram, or clicked on your ads in Messenger. My third tip is to stack multiple lookalike audiences together to create a super lookalike audience. This gives the advantage of both size and quality. A super lookalike audience will be highly relevant, which will lead to a higher click through rate and a higher conversion rate. which will then lead to lower cost per impressions. And the more data you have, the better it will work. My last tip for this section is that in Facebook, there's two functions you can use when targeting. The and function, which refines for precision, and the or function, which broadens for reach. The and function is beneficial if you're wanting to target specific people to take a specific action, such as a purchase on your website. The or function broadens your reach. So it's good to use this when you are trying to generate awareness for your brand. Now we're going to move on to how to use targeting. We'll be looking at example customer profiles, and we'll show you how to use their goals, pain points, and interests to target them effectively based on what we know. So the first buyer profile I have here is Jacob Black. A lot of you might know him from the movie Twilight. He also turns into a werewolf at times. He's 16 years old and he lives in Forks, Washington with his siblings and father. His goals and motivation are finding other werewolves like himself to form a supportive pack, and he wants to share experiences, guidance, and protection during transformation. A profile with these pain points might be interested in topics such as personal development, self awareness, self confidence, healthy habits, and self love. Now let's move on to his interest. He enjoys being part of community activities and social causes. Knowing this about him could mean that he could be interested in topics such as current events and community issues. That could be your second way of targeting him. And lastly, he's seeking connection and a sense of belonging, which could lead you to believe that he might be interested in topics such as friendship and socializing, which could be your third way of targeting him. If you can effectively target a mythical creature like a werewolf on Facebook, which doesn't exist, then you certainly have the skills to pinpoint and reach your ideal customers. Now let's move on to my second buyer profile, which is Eric Brooks, or better known as Blade. He's half human and half vampire, also known as a daywalker. His goals and motivation are he wants to rid the world of vampires, particularly the powerful and evil ones. He sees himself as a vampire hunter and protector of humanity. We can segment this profile based on his pain points, which are he's struggling with his own identity and control over his vampire instincts while maintaining his humanity. A profile with these pain points might be interested in topics such as personal development, self awareness, self confidence, and healthy habits and self love. These are the same topics as Jacob Black because we saw that both their pain points were very similar. Now let's move on to his interests. He's skilled in martial arts and often enjoys wielding a variety of weapons, including swords and firearms. So it could lead us to believe that he will most likely be interested in topics such as martial arts, boxing, karate, kickboxing, and taekwondo, which can be your second way of targeting Blade. Now let's move on to my last buyer profile, which is Winifred Sanderson from Hocus Pocus. She's 384 years old and she lives in Salem, Massachusetts with her two sisters. Her goals and motivations are she wants to suck the life force out of a child so she doesn't turn to dust. We can segment her based on her pain points, which is she's struggling to keep up to date with the current trends about witchcraft and uses outdated spells that has no effect on Gen Z. A profile with these pain points might be interested in topics such as witchery, Wicca radio, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and voodoo. She would probably be interested in these topics because these topics might help her keep up to date with the current spells. Next, let's look at her interests. She finds joy in practicing witchcraft, whipping up mystical potions. So this would lead us to believe she's interested in topics such as mixology, recipes, and cooking, which can be your second way of targeting her. And lastly, she also loves long walks through graveyards, which means she will probably be interested in topics such as walking, nature, and outdoor recreation, which can be your third way of targeting her. Now let's look at it from a business perspective. So we're going to be Witchcraft Wonders Bookshop, and we want to create a Facebook marketing campaign. So we will look at how we can target personas similar to Winifred Sanderson. Here you can see the logo of the Witchcraft Wonders Bookshop and a bit of a description of the shop itself. So they have a collection of enchanting books, and they're interested in seasoned practitioners or people that are just curious about witchcraft, magic, and the supernatural. You can see here that I used the interest and behaviors targeting we used for Winifred Sanderson from the previous slide. So firstly, the witchery ones, but you can see that I've narrowed them down with the and function we discussed previously with books and reading. So users that are interested in witchery, Wicca Radio, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and Voodoo, but they also have to be interested in books and reading. This will help it make it specific for this business itself. Next, let's look at the second targeting, which was mixology, recipes, and cooking. Here you can see I've used the and function twice to really narrow down the audience. We've used the and function for witchery and books and reading. So they have to be interested in all of those topics to fall under this category to make it specific for this shop. Because if you think about it, if we were to target users interested in mixology, recipes, and cooking, that would be very broad and not specific to the shop itself. And lastly, we're looking at the walking, nature, and outdoor recreation targeting. Here I've used the and function twice again to narrow it down for the shop specifically. Now let's look at how the shop can use lookalike audiences for their campaign. They could use a customer lookalike audience where their source audience will be a list of their current customers. I always recommend choosing a high quality source audience to focus on the best customers to generate the best results. Secondly, they can also use an email subscribers lookalike. So the source audience will be a list of email subscribers. These users will have the most similar characteristics to your current email subscribers. And lastly, they can have a purchase lookalike audience, where their source audience will be based on people who have made purchases from the shop previously. So these users will have similar characteristics as from people that have bought from you previously. Now let's move on to retargeting. I mentioned earlier that Facebook allows you to retarget people that originated on and off Facebook. So let's start with off Facebook with website retargeting. Retarget users that have been on the Witchcraft Wanderers website because they've obviously shown an interest in your shop and it would be beneficial to retarget them. Next, you can use an email list retargeting, which is also off Facebook. So use customers who have previously given their consent for the bookshop to use their email for marketing. This is going to be your warmest audience, and they will probably be the most likely to purchase from you. And then lastly, engagement retargeting. So these are users that have been on the Witchcraft Wanderers Facebook page. So it would make sense to retarget them as well because they've shown an interest in your shop. Now let's move on to some ad copy examples. Here is 2 examples of prospecting ad copy. You can see in the first sentence, it lets the user know what we're talking about, as it has Witchcraft Wonders Bookshop in the first sentence. Then it goes on to explain what kind of book the shop sells. The headline and call to action is based on the fact that the user hasn't visited the shop before, which is perfect for prospecting. As you can see, it says visit now and explore potions. Now let's look at some retargeting ad copy. Effective copy for this would be something that speaks directly to the audience, pulling them in, showing them you haven't forgotten them. In these examples, you can see that the copy is speaking to a user that would be familiar with the brand. The call to actions use words like come back and revisit, and this customization will make the user feel special, like the brand knows them specifically. How to avoid being bitten by a vampire, or how to avoid common targeting mistakes. Over segmenting your audiences. Excessively targeting your audience could mean your campaign might struggle to leave the Facebook learning phase. The learning phase is when the algorithm gathers data and optimizes your campaign, and the duration of this can vary based on factors like audience size and data volume. A highly segmented small audience can slow down the campaign's exit from this phase. So it's always good to have enough data, and that's when you will see success. Not checking for audience overlaps. Users can fall under multiple different targeting options, showing up in multiple different groups. And you can use the Facebook audience overlap tool to help you avoid this issue. But by getting more specific with your audience targeting based on interests, demographics, or behaviors, you're less likely to have overlapping audiences. And then targeting the wrong people. So a lot of the times companies don't do enough research and end up targeting the wrong people and not having the message that they want to hear, which ends up wasting ad spend. What I would recommend to avoid this is by using buyer personas to help avoid this issue. Now we're going to move on to the Day of the Dead, or when your audience is dying. So when you see your ad performance is declining, or when your clicks and impressions or conversions are decreasing, it either means your audience is oversaturated or they're not the right people. What I would recommend is refreshing your audiences regularly to maintain engagement and relevance, and adapt to changing user preferences to prevent ad fatigue. When your cost per 1,000 impressions is increasing, so that means you're paying more to reach your target audience. This either means your audience is too small or not responsive to the ads. I would recommend using lookalike audiences to expand and reach users similar to your customers, which will make it more relevant and cost effective for you. And lastly, when your frequency is getting too high, this means that you might be annoying your users and this might put them off your brand. I recommend implementing frequency caps on how often the same individual sees your ads within a time frame. Let us help you with your Facebook advertising. Contact our business development team to explore our services. Also, check out our blogs using the QR code on this slide. So before we go into Q&A, I just wanted to wrap things up and summarize a few key points. In this webinar, we dived into the world of Facebook targeting using statistics to emphasize the potential of the platform. With 2.95 billion monthly users and 66% of the UK's population on the platform, it's clear to say that this social media giant provides fantastic opportunity to reach a large audience. With our three-pillared approach, we explored differentiating prospecting and retargeting audiences, understanding different personas, and learned from common targeting mistakes such as over-segmenting audiences, not checking for audience overlap, and targeting the wrong people. We also gained a few tips such as refreshing audiences regularly, using lookalike audiences to expand reach, and implementing frequency caps on campaigns. As you begin your Facebook marketing journey, keep in mind that effective targeting can be your ticket to more treats and fewer tricks this Halloween season. Thank you for being part of this webinar, and I hope you can put some of these targeting strategies into practice in future marketing campaigns. So now I'd just like to open up discussion if anyone had any questions that they'd like to ask before we end this webinar. So we have a question come in on what is a prospecting audience. So prospecting audiences are completely new audiences. So new people that wouldn't know about your business that much or at all. These would be your prospecting audiences. And a retargeting audience would be people that are familiar with your business and you retarget them and they would be familiar with your business already. And then I can see we have another question saying, I have a B2B business. Am I still able to use Facebook to find my audience? You can use Facebook, and there are a lot of targeting options, such as for job titles and decision makers in Facebook. However, for most of my clients, I like to recommend LinkedIn as the platform for B2B businesses. I have another question here. What is considered too narrow for location targeting? So this is based on your business, actually. If you have a business that is very local, then you can be quite specific with it. But if you are, say, a business that delivers to other locations, you should keep it as broad as possible, so you can reach as many people as you can. I've got another question. How can I measure the success of my targeting strategies and improve performance? So this depends on your objective of your campaign. If your objective is, say, traffic, and you want more people to come to your website, then you can measure success through click-through rate and cost per click. But say your objective is purchases, then your success could be measured through metrics such as cost per acquisition and ROAS. Um, And I think that's all the questions for today that we've got through, unless there was any more before we end the webinar. Great. Okay, then. Thank you for attending, and I hope this was a useful session for everyone. Take care. Goodbye.